Josephine Ziribagwa runs a boutique at Prime Complex in the Kampala city centre. She's just returned to her shop following more than 42 days of lockdown. She's returned to accrued rent arrears and her capital has drastically dwindled.
Run our businesses on a scale of 5 million, between 5 to 10 M. That's really small. You know, the lockdown was just abrupt. Most of us, you know, we ate our capital. You know, now we are just struggling to make sure, to make ends meet.
Josephine told NTV that she's eager to apply for relief funds from government meant to save small and medium-sized enterprises affected by the total lockdown.
Actually, they even delayed to give us, that money, provided the interest rate is really, low.
On Wednesday, State Minister for Finance in charge of general duties, Henry Musasizi, announced the 200 billion shillings relief to SMEs. Half of the money is to be distributed by commercial banks who will be willing to run the fund on behalf of the central bank or government.
You can be a group of 20 people. You apply for 1 billion, then you share it in 2020. This is for those who do not have collateral. And there are those who will come as individual businesses. These ones shall be required to provide collateral.
Since Wednesday, officials from the Ministry of Finance, Central Bank, the Bankers Association, SEATINI, and the Federation of Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises FSME have been meeting at Ministry of Finance to agree on these modalities. There are fears that if commercial banks are allowed to run this fund, they might lock out small businesses by applying hard-to-meet credit access requirements. The banks might be more inclined towards favoring their big creditors just to balance the books. And if FSME vets the beneficiaries, there are fears it may be hard for banks to track them, leading to the credited businesses defaulting.
We wouldn't want that because, small businesses really don't run on those strict, balance sheet accounts. Maybe they can just use our businesses as security, because now this shop can work as security.
Now it's not the time to ask an SME who is going to want a loan of 3 million to tell them to bring your audited books of account for the last 5 years. They don't have them. So this is an affirmative action, and the conditions must lessen. And that's why I say we need to concentrate on the guidelines. The other important element for me that must be done is anybody who is going to benefit from this money must be published, because this is public money anyway.
Julius Mukunda, the Executive Director, Civil Society Budget Advocacy Group, CSBAG, thinks there should be guidelines to limit the fund to small businesses.
If the current financial institutions use their current know your customer requirements, I'm telling you 90% of the SMEs want to benefit from this. And also I think it's quite very important that although we know that most of the businesses are concentrated in Kampala, we must have an affirmative action according to rural and urban, but also in terms of gender, in terms of how many women businesses are likely to benefit from this, how many youth businesses are likely to benefit from this, how many people with disabilities are likely to benefit from it. Otherwise, if we let it just there for anybody, we know that these vulnerable groups, vulnerable businesses are likely not to get from this money.
It's estimated that Uganda has between 1.5 million to 2 million medium and small-scale enterprises, most of which need relief. A study conducted by FSME showed that in the Kampala metropolitan area, 45% of small and medium-sized businesses reported closure, 39% in Central Region, 22% in Western Uganda, 18% in Eastern Uganda, and 16% in Northern Uganda, all as a direct consequence of COVID-19.
Then, we also found that small businesses are very much worried about the rent. We further found that small businesses are worried about their loan obligations with financial institutions. So this is a situation that we find ourselves in, and we are happy that government recognized this problem and agreed to put aside 100 billion.
The Minister of Finance is expected to announce when affected traders will start applying for the fund after an agreement on the modalities is reached.
We are not in position to share what was discussed or what will be shared. That can only be shared by the Minister of Finance. Yeah, but what SMEs should know is that negotiations, intense negotiations have been going on.
Edward Muhumza, NTV.